Today we're working underneath my 1962 Willys pickup, or as some call them, Willys pickup, which is the correct pronunciation, but in these parts they call it Willys typically, so whichever way you want to pronounce it. But anyway, we're working on the rear main seal here, and I'm sort of learning as I go. Last time I did it, the engine was out, so we've got the lower filler block out, and I believe we will rotate that upper filler block out, but I need to verify that. Today we're just doing some gasket scraping and picking away at this a little as we go. We are at my neighbor's house. He's got a 4-post lift, and it's definitely going to make the job a lot easier. When removing the front filler block, there is a gasket there. It's part of the front timing cover gasket, and this one is relatively intact on the engine mount plate, so I'm gonna give it a shot and leave that there and just put a little RTV on it, and then put the front filler block in there. This is the side that faces that gasket. I cleaned it up a little bit, but it mounts right in there. So that's what's happening on that end. On the other end, let's get you some light here. I've got the upper filler block there. It's coming out. I've been very carefully using a punch to push that out. And I'm gonna finish doing that here and take that home with me since I'm working at a friend's house, and get that cleaned up. I've already got the oil pan and other filler blocks all cleaned up, ready to go. I do have a brass drift that I'm going to use to drive that out, so hopefully to do less damage to that aluminum using brass, because that was really making me nervous. So last time I was here, I quit trying to press it out or tap it out, because I didn't want to damage that aluminum. All right, got it out. Once I got it about 2/3 of the way out, I did use a punch to get a hold of one of these right there, tapping on it. Got her out. Pretty nasty. I don't know what's all over that. It could have been some sealant that I used or something. I'm not sure. I'm going to find out what's best to put on there between that aluminum and the block, and sure I'm going to want to put something there because there's no seal between this lip and the actual block itself, so I'm going to come up with a solution to that that's not going to interfere with it when installing it. I use a little brake clean to clean up the gasket surfaces. The key to not having leaks is as clean a surface as possible. That's one thing a mechanic friend of mine taught me, is that he would spend a lot of time on this part of the process, getting everything clean as possible, getting all the oil residue off. All right, now it's time for assembly. We're going to start with the upper rear main. Key is keeping everything clean. I spent a lot of time getting all the components super clean and oil free to make sure your RTV sticks. Let's see, the seal lip goes towards the engine, which is like that. There we go. All right, now we'll see if we can rotate that in. Also gonna put some of this on this little lip that goes into the block because there's no gasket or anything between the block and this upper filler block. All right, that should do. Actually, I must have that the wrong way. I think I've got it the wrong way, so I think the seal has to be flipped around here because you want it facing the engine. Goes in about as well as I expected, not very well. There we go, I think it's gonna go in. There we go. The seal's coming out, but I think you should be able to get that back. Yep. All right, upper part is in. Okay, now we're working on the lower filler block for the rear main. Let's see. I'm gonna put these little rubber seals in there. There we go. Okay, so both of those are in there now. All right, so that is, that's facing the rear of the vehicle. So the lip goes in the opposite direction towards the front of the vehicle. Put a little dab more on top of that seal there. All right, ready to go on. Now the unique design of this is the oil pan gasket goes underneath the front filler block, but it does not go underneath the rear filler block.
Is there a torque spec for that?
No torque specs on anything that I found except the oil pan bolts themselves. Hold the oil pan on those are the only ones that I found with the torque spec, which is odd. But... so I guess it's the good and tight method. All right, on to the next step. We did have about a 30-minute delay. I noticed that this thing wasn't sitting flush. It was tilted right there. There's a gap right there. Took it apart several times, tried to put it back together, and it was still a gap. Come to find out, the pins, the locating pins on this lower block, one of them wasn't going in the hole in the upper block. I think the first time I tried to put it in, it wasn't lined up, and I tapped on it, tightened it down or something, and it caused that hole to have some burrs around it. So I took a drill bit and it fit in one hole and not the other, and drilled it out so the locating pin hole would work, and it went right together. But that caused about a 30-minute delay. We'd had it apart about 3 times trying to figure out why it was doing that, and finally discovered it, thankfully. Otherwise it would have leaked worse than it did originally. But now on to the next step, which is going to be the front cover. Actually, the oil pan gasket has to go on first because the front filler block goes on top of it. So now we got to paint the gasket with RTV and then put the front filler block in. So on the front filler block, there's actually a total of 6 bolts that hold it in. 2 go in vertically into the block, and this one Allen head one goes right there, and then there's 2 long ones and 1 short one. And the short one goes right there so that it doesn't, because it comes in from the other side, so that it doesn't interfere with that bolt right there. So we're going to start putting this mess together. All right, we're getting ready to put the oil pan gasket on. We're painting the top side of the oil pan gasket. Just going to do one side at a time and put it up there, so we've got more working time on the other side, because there's some additional assembly besides just the oil pan gasket. I did put locating pins on a couple spots on here to help with aligning the gasket. Okay, there's one.
Recording again.
Okay, now gotta seal up the front of this filler plate. I'm feeling about a bit too much there. Getting these in is a little tricky. Do the top ones first. Cannot get that thing to spin.
The bolt.
Yeah.
You want me to try and put one in from the back side?
Yeah.
Short one was the far.
Yeah.
Farthest one up.
I'm trying to figure out how we got this thing on here.
Yeah, it's not starting. I think it's got to go. The block's got to go up a little bit, I think.
I think I got it. Yeah, there we go. You have to get those far enough in by hand in order to even get a socket over them on this side. It's really tight for a socket.
Okay, that one started. That one started. Okay, all three of these are started back here.
How did we get that on? Because I cannot get a socket on that. We might have to try to see if a wrench will go in there.
Which, you got that quarter drive?
Yeah.
'Cause that's what we used before.
Yeah, this side will go in, but I can't get it in that other side for some reason. Oh, it might be. I may have to rotate the engine a little bit.
Oh, that's right. We did do that.
Might give us some more room.
There, that should be enough.
All right.
Assembly is the opposite of disassembly.
Yeah.
And I remember doing that now.
I've just given up on rubber gloves. It's just, I'm just gonna get messy. That's all there is to it. Okay, there's the front. Actually, I'll put this one in the rear.
Does that go over the gasket?
Yeah.
Do you need to goo the gasket a little bit?
I realized that I need to put a little bit on that, the ends of that.
At this point, just paint the gaskets, I guess.
Okay, there's that. The other one. Okay, I'm just gonna go get some glue off my hands, put some gloves on again, and finish the oil pan seal. Here's a couple. Okay, we got everything tightened down on the oil pan. Gonna let it sit overnight and say a prayer to the car gods, and hopefully she leaks less than it did before. That's my hope.